And so if you want to flip over to Psalm 73, this is actually a favorite psalm of mine. It came to mind while I was down there. We had a great time. My daughter Ava and I went and taught for 3 days, and it was just a great time. It was cool. It's a school down there. They had a building donated. It's actually was a convalescent home that was donated to the church there in Yucca, and so now they run a Bible college out of it. And 62 students, and all the residents' rooms are kind of now their dorm rooms, and just a great time. So I'm going to give a couple disclaimers, which might seem odd, but they'll become evident, I think, as to their reasoning. In Psalm 73, Asaph has this, I don't know if I would call it a crisis of faith, but he gets deceived. So if you're curious, who is Asaph? He's written a bunch of the Psalms that are recorded for us in the book of Psalms. You can read about him in 1 Chronicles 16. He's essentially, during David's reign, the vast majority of David's reign, Asaph is the kind of the worship leader for Israel. So he's a Levite, but he's not a descendant of Aaron, so he's not a priest. But he's heavily involved in the music ministry for Israel. And we'll cover it more, but in Psalm 73 and verse 13, he comes to this place where he says, "Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure." That's a radical statement for the worship leader of Israel to say, right? So what is vain? What's vanity? It means with no point, right? With no reward, with no value. So Asaph, this worship leader, comes to a place in his life where he says, I began to believe that there was no value in keeping my heart pure. And it's deception. And that's really what I want to talk about, kind of from a personal experience. So my daughter Ava and I, we drove down there to Yucca, had a great time. I mean, who doesn't love 2 12-hour days in the car? No, she's a good traveler. We listen to book on tapes. She listens to Warrior Cats, which is kind of rough, but it's decent. It's like 42 book series. I'm like, awesome. No, it's. I always ask her about it. Like, okay, so what's Fireheart doing now? Like, what's Shadowpaw or whatever, you know? But anyway, so we had a good time. It was quality time driving down there and visited my folks and stuff like that. And so we had made a plan to visit my sister, and my sister wanted to meet in. So Yucca Valley is like 30 miles northeast of Palm Springs, or northwest of Palm Springs. So my sister wanted to go to a place that I'd never heard of. It was in Desert Springs. And so we drove. It was a nice drive. It's like 75 degrees out, so we're driving down there. And when I got to Desert Springs, let me back up. I grew up in San Luis Obispo, California. So if you're not familiar with San Luis Obispo, California, you can Google it, and it is voted every year by this, I don't even know what board or body does it, as the happiest place in the United States of America. And there's a ton of money there. It's a very affluent place. That's where I grew up. When I got to Desert Springs, California, or Palm Desert, or whatever it's called, I had never seen money like that before. We saw a lady drive a Bentley to the CVS. So if you're not familiar with Bentley, I think their cheapest vehicle is about $230,000, right? And most people have a Bentley. They show you it in their garage, right? And then they go and drive the Mercedes, right? If you have a Bentley, most people, they don't drive them. This lady was driving a Bentley to go pick up her prescription at a discount drugstore, right? And there were Bentleys everywhere, and Mercedes-Benz and BMW, not the 325i's, right? We're talking like the 735 M5, $200,000 hand-built motor car, that kind of stuff. And as we're driving through, I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this restaurant? That's what I think. I'm thinking to myself, oh man, if she's not paying, I'm going to have some answering to do when I get home here. So we, as we were driving to the restaurant, we see like no exaggeration, there's no hyperbole here, no less than probably 10 country clubs, at least. And not like the country club here, nothing against the peninsula, but you drive up to like the north, and you're like, that's a golf course. There's a golf course there, and there's some vacation homes from the 70s there. Yeah, it's great, right? These places, there were literally fountains. And like, so you would turn in. Some of these resorts have like 2 lanes in and out. 2 lanes. 2. With gates. And then, and no exaggeration, there'd be like 2 fountains, one on each side, about the size of our sanctuary. In California. So when I grew up in California, in San Luis Obispo, your water bill was, in like 30 years ago, would be between $400 to $500 a month. 30 years ago in San Luis Obispo, it was 89 degrees where we were at, where these fountains were at. And water, as we all know, is fairly scarce in California. So I just want to paint this picture. I've never seen money like that. I've never seen just such a concentrated amount of money. And so we go into, well, we got there a little early, and so we were just kind of hanging out, trying not to melt in the sun. And we were standing in front of the restaurant, and this man walked past, and I couldn't figure out what he was doing at first, and then he kind of walked past us, and he was wearing like a Special Forces t-shirt, and then he went over and just poured some alcohol on the ground, which is traditional, I think, for service members that they're trying to honor their dead, the people that died alongside them in war. And then he kind of goes back in. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And so we go in, we get seated, my sister finally shows up with her husband. And this is where I want to make a few disclaimers. Number one, I am not making a judgment on anyone in this story. That's important. Because I don't know what's in people's hearts. And this leads me to my second disclaimer. Money is not evil. We need to know that. Money is not evil. Wealth is not evil. There's nothing inherently evil about those things. And in fact, in the Old Testament, wealth was considered to be a blessing from God. Now, the Israelis took that too far, and you can see that in the New Testament. But it was considered to be something that was a blessing. So it's important that in my story, I am not referencing anything evil about money, nor the people that have it. Does that make sense? So James is not saying his sister is evil, okay? I'm not saying that. They don't even watch, but if they do, Trisha, you're not evil, okay? Well, you are, and you need the gospel, but not because you have money. My sister's worked very hard. She worked very hard. She graduated high school by merit. She was in this book, The Top 100 High School Graduates in the U.S. I don't even know how you quantify that, but my parents bought her the book, so I don't know. Maybe they made it up. But she went to UC Irvine and double majored 20 units a quarter while she was working full-time while she was in a sorority. All right, so she's ludicrous speed, all right? She has like 4 kids. I think 2 of them went to Stanford. One of them is in the Marines, and one is just graduating and going to like a Division I school for wrestling, right? So just to kind of give you a comparison, I dropped out of high school 3 weeks into my junior year, okay? So just a bit of a comparison of how we're different people, all right? They're very kind, and her boyfriend. And so she's a lawyer at an insurance place, a corporate lawyer. She's in charge of compliance, making sure they comply with all the law. My brother-in-law just not graduated, but just retired out of the FBI. And now he day trades stocks and manages like 9 apartment complexes. So they picked the restaurant. I would have been, gone with Wendy's, but this is where we went. So I'm looking at the menu, and I'm like, wow. And just out of curiosity, I scrolled down, and not scrolling, but I looked down at the bottom of the menu, and the alcohol, not that I was going to order it, I was just kind of curious about the pouring out thing, was $100 a shot for the cheapest. And I thought, oh no. Good thing I brought my friend Visa with me, She paid in the end, so don't worry yourself. She paid. But, so it's just interesting talking to her. It's hard to talk to them because we have nothing in common. They're very kind people, very kind. But the things that they're involved in and the circles they run in, and if you're not from California, this might not mean too much, but if you are from California, they just bought acreage in Orange. It'd be like if I said to you, I just bought acreage in downtown Portland. Does that make sense? It's that kind of money. And we finished, we had a great lunch, good talk, I guess. It was just kind of chatting about life. And when we left, Ava and I were kind of figuring out, we're cheap dates. So Ava was just kind of like, I have to be honest, we were both on board with this plan. Let's get frozen yogurt. Because where it's hot, they have frozen yogurt, right? It's nice. And it's tasty. It actually tastes good. So we made it to frozen yogurt. We're trying to make a frozen yogurt plan. And I watched my sister and her husband, very kind people. And they, I know that they regularly attend a church somewhere and they, proclaim Jesus as Savior. So no judgments on them. I'm really not making any judgments on them. And she jumps into her new Mercedes with Doug, her husband, and starts to back up and evidently pushes some button, on the dash, and the top stops coming up and the trunk opens up and the top goes in there. And I don't know why this stands out to me. And then she just puts on this giant sun hat. And I just was like, that's the most rich people thing I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's fine. Hey, ladies, you want to wear sun hats? Sun hat it up. I don't care. Impoverished women, rich women, wear your sun hats. That's not. But for some reason, it was like the cherry on top. You know what I mean? It just disappears. And then Mercedes-Benz symbol kind of goes back down. It pops in place, and then boop. I saw it. And here's the thing, and this is the whole point for that weird story. I was deceived because I honest to goodnessly thought in that moment, I have wasted my life. And I thought to myself, I could never provide my family what she and Doug also, who worked very hard for years, have provided for theirs. And the stuff that they've been able, the college education, I can't pay for my kids' college education, which is my other disclaimer. This is not a beef about what I get paid, all right? I am wonderfully not consummated, that would be weird. I am wonderfully, I can't even think of the word now. Compensated, yes. Can we just get that up there? No, just kidding. I am very thankful, compared to the world, I have like 3 pairs of shoes. I have a pair of shoes I wear just for walking and going to the gym. I have a pair of shoes that I use just for hiking. I have like 4 or 5 pairs of pants. If I want to, after church, I could walk over there and buy a latte uselessly, right? I don't even need. I went for a walk with my kids and my wife Friday night, and we got decaf lattes. It's like fake coffee. It's like pointless fake. It is like, it's purely enjoyment. It was like $21, right? So that's just pure enjoyment, right? That's disposable income. So this is in no way a complaint about this. It's a testimony to being deceived.